The U.S. Supreme Court could accomplish what U.S. President Barack Obama's Republican rivals have failed to do. The High Court plans to hear a challenge to a key provision of the Affordable Care Act, which could begin the dismantling of the president's signature achievement. Stephen Schwinn is an associate professor at the John Marshall Law School in Chicago, Illinois, and that's where he joins us. Stephen, it's good to see you. How are you doing today?
Nice to be with you, Debbie. Thank you for having me.
Oh, well, it's great to see you. But let's talk about the basics here. Of course, the Affordable Care Act was challenged significantly in 2012, and SCOTUS held it up then. And that was about the individual mandate requiring Americans to buy insurance or get a penalty. What exactly is this challenge?
So this is coming at the Affordable Care Act from a slightly different angle. What the Affordable Care Act says is that states have a choice in setting up these health insurance exchanges where people can go and buy their health insurance. The states can set up their own exchange, a so-called state exchange, or the states can rely on the federal government to set up the exchange for them, a federal exchange. Then the Affordable Care Act says that individuals who purchase on these exchanges, if they meet certain income requirements, so that they're low income or moderate income individuals, they qualify for a tax benefit once they purchase insurance on the exchange. Now, the language of the Affordable Care Act, in a very narrow provision, says that the tax credit goes to individuals who purchase on a so-called state exchange. And so opponents of the IRS extending this tax credit have argued, look, the tax credit only goes to individuals who have purchased on the state exchange, not the federal exchange, but the IRS has also extended it to the federal exchange. So they've challenged it on that basis.
And this challenge, should the Supreme Court rule in favor of the challenge, could affect millions of people because a large majority of these states have federal exchanges. So let's talk about the merits of the logic for this argument. Where are the weaknesses and the strengths of this challenge?
So the opponents look to a very narrow provision of the Affordable Care Act and say, look, the tax credits only extend to purchasers on state exchanges. What the government says in reaction is, no, you can't look just at the narrow provision of the Act. You have to look at the broader provisions of the Act and the universal coverage purpose of the Act. After all, we all know that the whole reason why Congress passed the Affordable Care Act was to move toward universal coverage of health insurance. So if we interpret the Act not to extend credits to purchasers on the federal exchange, that's going to knock out nearly 5 million people from health insurance coverage.
And would this then be the death blow that many Republicans have wanted for affordable care?
Well, it could come close, and the reason why is because so many people wouldn't be able to afford to purchase insurance on the exchange. Without those extra people in the insurance pool, rates would likely go up, and so we'd likely see people not covered and rates going up, and together those may operate to, as you say, effectively deal a death blow to the Act.
Do you think that this new open enrollment that's just about to begin, would that have, if it were to go wrong, would that have any influence in this case?
You know, I don't think that that'll have a direct influence on the way the justices are thinking about the case, but it'll certainly operate in sort of the political background of the case and influence the way Congress reacts to whatever the justices have to say about this.
Stephen Schwinn, you always make the law make sense to me. Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me, Debbie.
Good to see you.